All right, welcome back, everyone. After a little bit of a break for us.
Mhm.
Hollywood Purgatory is back. Jeffrey Harris is here, and on the other end of the line, we have Jay Snook in NoCal.
Hey there, what's
We have
up?
NoCal and SoCal
hmm
representing here.
hmm
Neither of us were represented in the Super Bowl, but first of all, I just wanted to say congratulations to Philadelphia, the city of Philadelphia, the
hmm
Eagles fans, and the Eagles organizations. They won the Super Bowl. And,
hmm
for all of you trashing Tom Brady, I mean, man still has like how many Super Bowl rings, and he still goes
hmm
home to Giselle. So, I mean,
hmm
you know, you can trash Tom Brady all you want, but I think at the end of the day, the guy who's winning at life is,
hmm
not you. It's
You
Tom
know,
Brady.
I have to say about it, I didn't really watch the game, but I was
Yeah,
glad how it turned out because they've like never won in franchise
right,
history ever.
right,
And like the Patriots have won in like just a bunch of times in the last few years.
right.
It'd be
Uh,
like if the Giants won every single year. After a while, you'd be like, "Oh, right, it's great you guys keep winning, but maybe someone else
it's
should get it for
like
once."
the Eagles were the underdog. They were
Yeah.
the underdog, and people generally want to see the underdog win instead of
Mhm.
like instead of the favorites. So
And not only that, but I heard it was a good game too. So it wasn't just like they like one side creamed the other, which was
yeah,
nice too.
right. It was. I think the final score was like 40. Like it was like 43-33 or 41-30.
Yeah,
I didn't watch the game either because I don't watch football. But yeah. So we have a very fun lineup today because there wasn't a lot going on when we were last on, but since our last show, there's been just a deluge of new
yep,
trailers,
yep.
new films coming out, new films that are about to come out,
Mm.
big news in the movie and TV world. So there's a lot. There's a lot for us to unpack today, Jay. But so
Yep.
let's go
So
ahead and
buckle
dive
up
in.
and get ready because here we
Yeah,
go.
yeah, and and in case you're wondering, Jay, you have a bandage on your finger because you cut it today,
Yep,
but
at work. I
but you
found a way to
didn't lose it.
skillfully do that.
It's
Luckily, workman's comp took care of that,
yeah.
4 stitches, but I'll live. It's just one of those things I'm like, well, this is how my day decided to go today. So what are you gonna do? See?
So well, at
All
least
pretty
you
and
work
bandaged.
for a good company that takes care of you. And
That's true.
but just in case you're wondering, so Jay sliced into his thumb, but his thumb is okay, and it is
hmm
still firmly attached to your hand. Yes,
Yes,
yes. So he is recovering, but he is going to soldier his way through it, right, Jay?
absolutely.
All right. So, first new movie out today is 50 Shades Freed. This is the final movie in the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy based on the books by E.L. James. So this is the third one of this multi-million dollar franchise.
hmm
So, what did you think of the first two films, Jay? I know you saw 50 Shades Darker, at least, right?
I saw both of them, yes.
Yeah.
And you know what? The first one, first of all, it's really long. It takes a very long time on
The
character
first
development.
movie's over 2 hours.
Yeah, but like 3/4 of the film is just character development, and it's overkill there. And then another thing that bothered me was it was tame. I wasn't expecting to be like X-rated, but you're like this is tame. The book is supposed to be this hardcore thing, and the movie I was like, this is like what the
I,
heck?
I don't get why these books and characters are so popular. I just don't know what it is. I get.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so that was the first film,
ugh,
and then the second film,
was hilarious.
yeah, but it just
It
was
was
again like I
unintentionally hilarious.
yeah, I saw that one for free, and I got us to go to a screening for that when it came out. And I left going,
Was the
oh,
audience not laughing the whole way through when you saw it?
yeah, they were, and it was one of those things like where you weren't supposed to be, but it was just so silly and ridiculous,
Yeah,
and
it was like it's like The Room almost.
mm,
So
yeah, it was
So we're
weird,
gonna
weird fun.
we're gonna get into discussions. So spoiler alerts and everything. So
Yeah.
this movie, it starts Christian and Anastasia Steele,
Mhm.
Christian Grey, and they got engaged in the second one. Now they're getting married. So the wedding's right at the beginning.
Mhm.
And now so they're dealing with their old or Anna's old boss at her publishing company, the publishing company that Christian bought, and Anna is now like the head fiction editor
Mhm.
because she's so talented and she earned her way to her position, right? Because her boyfriend bought the company.
Mm-hmm.
So that all happened in the last movie. So now her old boss is like stalking the new happy couple and so in their wedded bliss. And then Christian is like not excited about the idea of having kids
Mm.
right away. And then
I know there's a part in the trailer where she says she's pregnant, and I'm like, seriously?
there's no plot. I mean, there's no plot in this movie.
Mm.
There's like it's just Christian and Anastasia generally being unlikable.
Mm.
These two actors have no chemistry.
Well, they hate each other in real life. You know that, right?
I mean, maybe they do.
I've just heard they do not get along well. They don't. They don't like each
I
other at all. So like it's weird in these three movies where they're supposed to have all this great chemistry, but they like don't like each other or get along at all in real life.
did you believe their chemistry in the first two films at all?
No.
So that's my thing.
Yeah.
Here's my basic thing on this whole weird relationship. So Christian Grey, you have this billionaire playboy who has a BDSM fetish.
Mm-hmm.
He's obsessed with Anastasia or in love with her or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure you would call it love because it's just so messed up. He's attracted to women who look like his mother because like his mother was like this troubled woman and had drug issues and he was abused by her boyfriends and things like that. So I guess he wants to bed women and punish them that look like his mother. Basically, that's his kind of like that's his whole warped psychological thing. I don't know why Anastasia likes this guy, other than like he has money and power.
Mm-hmm.
I'm totally through this whole movie. I'm mind boggled by because Christian is he's this really strict, controlling person about their relationship, and it's creepy. The way he acts with her it's very creepy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the way you would want your spouse to act. And I don't believe she really even loves him. I think she likes the idea of, oh, I get to be like the wife of this super powerful, super rich guy, but I don't believe she really loves him, and I don't even believe he really loves her, other than like he wants, to act out his sort of what's the word? His hang-ups on her. It's really messed up.
But didn't they have in the second movie where he kind of started changing for her?
Not really.
I thought there was a part where he was saying he wasn't going to be like a dom anymore. He was changing, so it was kind of weird then too. Like so he was all dominant in the first one. The second one, he was like changing, not being dominant. Then we saw who was it? The girl was Murphy Brown, who was like his first girl.
No, it was not. No. That was Kim Basinger.
Okay, fine. My bad. But anyways, like we saw her in the second one trying to like break them up because he needed to dominate someone.
That was like that was his mistress when he was like a teenager.
Yeah.
Who was like his sexual teacher.
Yeah.
It doesn't look. She's referenced in this movie. There are subplots that are referenced that never go anywhere. There's a whole lot of nothing. It's just Christian Grey and Anastasia being generally horrible people and having a very toxic, very bad relationship. Is there sex and nudity in the movie? Yes. So if you want to see that kind of thing in like a major Hollywood movie that actually has a budget, go for it. I just don't get the appeal of these movies, these books. The books were Twilight fan fiction, for crying out loud. And all the power to you if you like that and you like Twilight and the whole. Who were the characters in Twilight? Bella and who was
Edward and Jacob. Like I actually like Twilight, but this is not Twilight. Just because
it's worse.
I think what this is,
it's worse.
Because this series reminds me a lot of the Divergent series because it's poorly adapted to film.
The Divergent series, like it seems they started out okay, and then the box office numbers then dropped off, and I don't even think they're even going to be able to make the last movie.
Well, but what happened with that though?
The last one bombed.
The first one was good because they actually did a good job sticking to the source material. 2 and 3 not so much. And I
Okay.
saw 3 in theaters, for free, and I was not impressed. I was like, what
Well,
the heck was
that's a
this?
different
And
genre. That's young adult. That's young
yeah,
adult
but
science
but, but
fiction.
the reason I see stuff in common is they both were poorly adapted. Because you know what, I've heard good things about the books, but they clearly
Oh, come
screwed up adapting these
How
books.
how can you say that if you've never even read the books?
Hey, I'm just saying, like,
Here's another thing. The two sequels, 50 Shades Darker and 50 Shades Freed, were written by E.L. James's husband, Niall Leonard, and based on everything I've read, she was difficult to work with on these films because she was very controlling. And apparently she was more controlling of the two sequels. So to me, I don't think it's I think the books are rotten too, man.
Well, I don't know. I just think
You
that,
don't.
like,
I mean, you don't know, but I
I don't.
mean,
The only thing I
the
know
books
for
were
a
written
fact,
as Twilight fan fiction. This is documented. They originated as fan fiction by James for Twilight, and then she just switched the names around and some stuff around, and it made it like her own story.
well, that's probably where she screwed up too. But I like this is just another example, as I see it in a nutshell, that Hollywood just needs to either put some real work into adapting something from a book or don't do it.
What would real work what I mean, I don't know, because I mean, to me, like, the story, it revolves around these two characters, and I think even in the source material, the two characters are still unlikable, so I don't really think that's going to fix anything. I don't think I got to disagree with you there.
Okay, well,
All
agree to
right.
agree.
Well, all right, moving on.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Rabbit, new from Sony Pictures, an adaptation of the children's stories. I thought the movie was hot garbage. Jay, what did you think of Peter Rabbit?
I thought it was okay, but here's the thing about this movie, is it does have a good cast. It's got an okay story. It's predictable. It's very predictable. There wasn't much that I was like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened. It really wasn't. And it was obvious what was going to happen with the two main human characters. That was kind of noticeable a mile away. But I could see how kids would enjoy this. This is one of those films where I think kids will like it, but maybe kids and only kids will like it. That's just
To
my opinion.
me, it's the anti-Paddington. The Paddington movies are good. They're well written. They're well made. They're well acted, and they're infinitely charming. This movie was not charming.
Mm-hmm.
The main character is Peter Rabbit, who is voiced by the Late Late
James
Show host
Corden.
James Corden is the voice of Peter Rabbit.
Mm-hmm.
So, interestingly enough, so it's about him, his cousin Benjamin, who is voiced by Matt Lucas, and his three sisters. Daisy Ridley voices Cottontail, Daisy Ridley of Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
Margot Robbie of I, Tonya and Suicide Squad. She voices his sister Flopsy, and
Mm-hmm.
Elizabeth Debicki from 10 Cloverfield. Excuse me, not 10 Clover. The Cloverfield Paradox, which just debuted on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And also Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. She played Mopsy. So basically, they're this group of mischievous, rural village rabbits. Mr. McGregor, who owns like the farm where they steal all these crops, he dies, right? And Sam Neill, by the way, Sam Neill from Jurassic Park played Old Man McGregor. So he dies.
The facial hair.
Yeah. So he died, and the farm is inherited by his nephew, played by Domhnall Gleeson, who's General Hux from Star Wars, and tons of other. He's in like tons of other movies.
Yeah, like Good by Christopher Robin. He was in that. He was much better in that.
Yeah, well, he's much better in pretty much everything except this. So he inherits the farm, and living close by is Rose Byrne, is Bee, obviously named after Beatrix Potter, the creator of the original Peter Rabbit stories, the children's stories. So they kind of have this, romance. And Peter Rabbit gets jealous, and he's like, "Well, hey, this guy's moving in on my turf, and I see Bee as like my new surrogate mother, and I don't want him to take her away from us. So we're gonna team up, and we're gonna stop this new McGregor kid. Who did he play? Domhnall Gleeson played Thomas McGregor. We're gonna chase him away. We're gonna drive him nuts, and we're gonna drive him off of the farm. And this movie was terrible.
You know what was a real problem with this film was
It wasn't funny. It's
not
only
just
funny.
that.
It's only funny if you're like 5 years old, basically.
Yeah, not just that, because when I was there were kids there, and kids were laughing. They enjoyed it.
Same for me. And you know what? And
But
here's the other
but
thing.
but the problem with
Right.
this was that I think this was a quickly put together animated kids movie. I think that's what this was.
Right.
A lot of those happen every year. They come out every year, and therefore they're made just for one demographic, and that's it. And therefore, the films don't do well because, like, well, what about other people? Like Disney at least goes, hey, let's make something that probably everybody will like, right? Clearly, with this, they didn't care. Like, we want kids to like it. That's it, and that's all right. We don't
Uh,
care.
I mean, it's not funny. I mean, and
Not
look,
really.
I saw it in a packed house. A lot of kids were there, and they enjoyed it, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't.
Uh-oh. That's weird. It's very strange.
All right, technical difficulties there. I think we're back.
Yeah, we are. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. That was weird.
Yeah, it was sorry about that, folks. Technical difficulties. We're live right now, by the way, so that's kind of why that happens. So sorry about there was a little break in the action. We're very sorry about that. So what I mean is going back to Peter Rabbit. So Coco, it's not dumb. Like even though it's an animated movie, it's a movie that parents can enjoy. It's a movie that teenagers can enjoy, older people, and they can enjoy it with their kids, and you don't feel bad for liking it. Here's the other thing I didn't like about Peter Rabbit: all those stupid pop songs, like all those dumb like they have the birds coming in and they're singing along with the music. I hated that.
Yeah, that didn't make sense.
I mean, it reminded me of Suicide Squad because, like, remember when Suicide Squad they would just stick in like a song from a music album every 2 minutes, and use your own music. You know, I mean, come on here. You don't need that many pop music songs in the movie.
It was just weird too, because especially in the beginning, like, wait, is this gonna be a musical? And then it just kind of like like fittered out like every time. I think it was just trying to be a joke, and it just like you are right. I didn't find this movie funny. I thought all the jokes were stupid and just juvenile and just weren't thought out clearly. And it was kind of weird too. I read something before I watched this that made sense where like Peter Rabbit's kind of like a frat boy. He kind of was, and that's kind of weird. They chose that direction.
I don't. Here's my thing about Peter Rabbit in the movie. I like James Corden, and I think he's a very talented, funny individual.
I do too.
I didn't find the character funny in this movie. I didn't like the character at all. I thought Peter Rabbit in this movie was kind of a jerk. Not even kind of like a likable jerk who's like making mistakes and messing up, but like you're still kind of. I didn't root for him at all here. I was like, man, you're kind of. I'm kind of like, just trap the rabbit and skin it, turn it into stew. I would have been.
It was really. I think what would have helped this movie if the mother had still been alive, it would have helped. Don't you think? There would have been a moral center there for him. Where with this, he was just got to go as buck wild as he wanted, and I think that's what hurt a lot.
Right. I mean, I remember the Peter Rabbit stories I looked at. His mother was always around.
Yeah.
And here, like the story starts here, where both his mother and father are dead, and he's sort of like the new patriarch. And just to give you an example of the movie's comedy, like after the farmer dies, Peter Rabbit basically kills that farmer. No, it wasn't a heart attack. Peter Rabbit, you killed the farmer. Okay. He murders the farmer basically, and this is a kids movie, by the way. So he murders the farmer, and then they all go, like all the animals around the farm. They go into his house and they have a party, and he's laying on the floor with this other girl rabbit, and he's talking like a hippie at like a drug party, and
Mhm.
he's passing around a carrot like the carrot's a marijuana cigarette. And he's like, "Oh man, it's like we're all connected in the universe." I'm like, that's
Mhm.
like, so you have a rabbit acting like he's stoned off of. First of all, a carrot's not going to make you stoned unless it's got like marijuana in it.
Mhm.
Okay,
Mhm.
that's got to be a pretty strong carrot there, fella. If it's going to make
Mhm.
you talk like a stoned hipster. I mean, come on. What is funny about that, Jay? Come on.
I don't know. I don't get it.
Ugh, all right.
This was
So
another movie in a nutshell, just to finish my thought on this, that
yeah,
tried too hard to be funny. And you know, it's something that these movies don't need to do. They keep trying too hard to be funny when they don't need to.
let's see. Will Gluck, the director, he previously directed Easy A and Friends with Benefits. I thought those were decent films,
Mm-hmm.
honestly. I thought they were decent comedies.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not great, but I thought they were solid.
Easy A was better than Friends with Benefits. That's because they had another movie called like that was Justin Timberlake and Mila Kunis that came out that same year that was almost the same thing, just a little different.
What was that? Let me see. It was that movie. You're thinking
What
of
was
the
the other
one
one? That was
that was the one with Ashton Kutcher and Natalie Portman
okay.
with a different
But those they both were like the same year, and they were almost the same movie. They weren't.
yeah,
They
no
had some.
strings attached. So
That's it.
same
Yeah.
year in 2011, no strings attached, Friends with Benefits, basically the same plot, uh, virtually the same movie. There you go. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Will Gluck directed Friends with Benefits. No strings attached, I believe, was Ivan Reitman of
Hmm.
Ghostbusters fame. So there you go. I think that was
Hmm.
one of the last movies he directed. All right.
Maybe.
So those are the new movies coming out. They're out today. So if you want, here's my main thing about 50 Shades Freed before we move on. Like, I thought 50 Shades Darker was funnier, and when I say funnier, like it's like a comedy that doesn't know it's a comedy. It was a lot funnier than this one. There is some really just painstakingly bad dialogue in this film, but it's not as painstakingly funny as the last movie. This one, it was just it was badder. It was not good. It was wrong. This movie is just all kinds of wrong. All right, so moving on. So Deadline had some information on the new Disney streaming service that
Mm-hmm.
pertains to some of the shows we like.
Mm-hmm.
So here's the business. So this comes from Deadline. So Disney is, we've already known that Disney has been gearing up its new over-the-top subscription streaming service. So right now, it's going to launch in fall 2019. Now, here is the deal. What happened in the story is they kind of gave an idea of what's okay. There will be no R-rated films on this service, and the programming will be consistent with the Disney brand. The R-rated stuff will go on Hulu. The plan now, and this is interesting, is to leave the various Marvel series where they are, which means Netflix will hang on to its superhero inventory. So if you've been curious about all the Marvel Netflix shows that are on Netflix right now, they are staying on Netflix for now. We don't know how that might change in the future. They're saying R-rated material will go on to Hulu. I mean, look, Disney has once this deal with Fox goes through, they have a controlling interest in Hulu. They own over half of Hulu per this deal. They also own all the FX cable channels like FX and FXX. So what Marvel's place will be with the Netflix shows in the future, I'm not sure, because I don't know what the exclusivity is with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, which premieres its second season next month, Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and also The Punisher now. So we have all those shows. But here's the other interesting parts of this news. So on the TV side, the show will have An animated Monsters Inc. series. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
A live action Marvel TV series, and a Star Wars TV series.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if those will be ready by next year, but those are shows we can expect. So, do you think this is a good plan by Disney, Jay?
I think it's good to keep the stuff on Netflix, and I actually kind of breathed a sigh of relief when I saw that, because
All
if
right.
it moves to that service, it sounds like it'd have to have been toned down, and the way the shows are right now are great. Toning them down would
No,
be a
I don't want
mistake.
to. I don't want. Yeah, but it sounds like they don't want. They want to keep this content family content, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, which isn't that big of a shock for Disney, really. I mean, not
Um,
too much, you know.
my hope is, what I would want from this service, though, if you want to keep it sort of family oriented, I want all the old Marvel animated shows available on this service. So X-Men the animated series, X-Men Evolution, Spider-Man the animated series, I want all of that on there. So
Aren't those all Fox though, or am I wrong?
well, they own. I mean, under the New Deal, they own Fox. So I mean, there you go.
Uh,
All the Fox Kids animated shows. They. I mean, look, they're in the process of buying out Fox. So why wouldn't they be able to? I mean, it would be their con. Even if Fox produced and owns those to any degree, they would still own it back now. So there you go.
okay.
Um,
Okay.
and also, look, Fox doesn't own X-Men. They only control the theatrical, um the live action film rights, and some TV rights. They don't
I just
own
mean those
X-Men.
three cartoons were all on Fox when so that's what I
Right.
remember growing up.
Right. But like I know Sony still owns the Spectacular Spider-Man show. I know that. But as long as this deal goes through, they own 20th Century Fox and all its assets. So there you go. So
I think we still haven't gotten a approval of that happening. It's still in the process, I
right,
think.
right. It's gonna take at least, yeah, that's correct. It's gonna take at least a year, but this
Mhm.
service would not launch until fall 2019.
Mhm.
So
I thought I saw something about a Don Quixote cartoon too, which would be kind of interesting.
right. Well, not a cartoon. Here's the other things they talked about. Some
Okay.
of the Deadline also reported that they're working on these movie projects for the service: Don Quixote, Lady and the Tramp, The Paper Magician, Stargirl, and Togo. It doesn't really say cartoon. It could be for all we know, it could be a live action Don Quixote. We don't really know.
Could
It
be.
could be. It could be animated. It's not. It's not clear. It just says project.
Okay. Yeah, there was a few interesting projects on there when I saw. I was like, oh, that could be interesting. I don't know if it'll be good, but we'll see.
Something else called Magic Camp, and Noelle with Anna Kendrick,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Hader, and Shirley MacLaine. So you have some interesting.
Mm-hmm.
You have some interesting names in there. They said this is weird. 3 Men and a Baby. So apparently they want to bring that back.
Yeah, which we'll see. That's a good idea.
Sword and I mean, we know they're doing
Sword in the Stone. I'm excited for. Now, I want to know if that's going to be an animated or a live action.
It'll be live action. So it's following their trend of remaking their animated films into live action. Basically,
I love that animated film. I love to see that live if they do it right.
Right, and something called Timmy Failure.
Mm.
I don't know what that's going to be, but I think an animated TV series for Monsters Inc. could be really interesting, depending on when it's set.
Yeah, because you know what? That's one universe we saw technically
Monsters
in two
University. I mean,
movies.
Monsters University was only a prequel, you know.
Yeah, but I mean, like that'd be nice to see just more of that universe. That'd be great. I think
The world of the monsters and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that would be a perfect series for this service. My only issue is I'm not eager to get another, over the top subscription service. So,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sure.
so another TV series that got announced is do you remember Conan the Barbarian? Any of those?
I do. I remember watching the first movie. It wasn't bad, but I only watched it once, and I don't know. It didn't blow my mind.
So Robert E. Howard created the pulp adventure hero or character Conan. the Sumerian Barbarian. So this is also from Deadline. Amazon is developing a drama series for Conan based on the books by Robert E. Howard. The project hails from Colony co-creator Ryan Condal, Game of Thrones director Miguel Sapochnik, Fargo and The Handmaid's Tale executive producer Warren Littlefield, and Pathfinder Media and Endeavor content. I think this is Amazon's making a lot of interesting moves lately. They're doing a TV version of Lord of the Rings, and now they're doing this. So they're I feel like since Game of Thrones is about to end, TV outlets or content creators are looking for like the next Game of Thrones, basically. Netflix is doing The Witcher, of course, which is a major fantasy property, dark fantasy property. Now we have Amazon doing a TV version of Lord of the Rings and Conan the Barbarian.
And I think there was news this week too. It made me think of it. What the Game of Thrones thing was. I think 2 of the Game of Thrones writers said they wanted to do their own Star Wars trilogy.
You're getting too ahead. We're too far ahead right now. We're gonna. That's a whole other subject. Okay, so I think it's I think there's definitely potential here. I love pulp adventure novels, and I love like pulp heroes, and I love the Conan comics. None of the Conan movies to me were ever that great, so I hope they can like really take the Robert E. Howard story seriously right now and make a really cool TV series. But
so just like the Continental News and the Mega City One News where they're doing this, but we don't know when.
Right. Right. So Mega City One, Judge Dredd is another TV series. We don't know when that's coming around. I mean, it could be a while before we see anything for any of these shows. You heard about the Amazon Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes. I know, but I don't know if there's a release date for that or is it? It's just they're doing it.
Right. So Amazon, I mean, they haven't even started production yet. So it could be a while before we see anything. It could be a couple years, really.
Yeah,
we
probably,
could
most likely.
We could be old and gray. We could be old and gray by the time we see something. The Star Wars news. So here's what the deal is with that. So since you mentioned that, I want to go into that right now. The Game of Thrones creators, and when I say creators, I mean D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, who created the TV version. The books, A Song of Ice and Fire, were created by George R.R. Martin, but the TV show was created by D.B. Weiss and David Benioff. So Lucasfilm announced, it was just a few days ago, so it was this week. It was an official announcement that they are going to write and produce a new series of live-action Star Wars films. So Disney had already announced, Disney and Lucasfilm had already announced that Rian Johnson, the director of The Last Jedi, is going to write and direct a new trilogy of Star Wars films. A new trilogy. So now there's going to be another new series of live-action films written and produced by the creators of Game of Thrones. So this is in the works right now. And here's what Disney says. This is straight from Disney and Lucasfilm. These films are set to be separate from the episodic Skywalker saga. So that's episodes 1 through 9. Episode 9 isn't out yet. And also the new trilogy that's currently being developed by The Last Jedi filmmaker Rian Johnson.
Okay.
What do you think of this news? Is this good news, Jay?
I think this is good. I'm actually more excited about this than the Rian Johnson trilogy, to be honest. That's just the reality.
Right.
And because they've done a really good job weaving a really good narrative for that show, and I think if they do the right era, they could do it really, really because if they're saying it's not going to be connected to the other 2 series, it could be, a time of this universe we haven't heard before, right? Somewhere in the past, because we really haven't seen.
We don't really know. We don't really know.
We don't. And I agree. But I'm just saying, if these 2 guys choose the right era, they could, I think, do it wonderfully. So yeah, I'm really.
I think to me if I were to pick, I want the era between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, because we don't really know any.
But maybe Rian Johnson is doing that.
Why do you say Rian?
I don't know.
It's Ryan.
Ryan, whatever. Ryan, whatever.
I know it's spelled Rian, but it's Ryan. Okay.
But anyways, but the thing is, maybe that's what he's doing. That's the thing. So if he's doing that,
we don't even know what era Rian Johnson is doing either.
But I thought his was going to be canon at least.
Well, all the new movies are canon.
Well, that's true.
We don't know.
I don't know. So this is good news to hear.
For all we know, Rian Johnson's trilogy could be set after Episode 9. We don't know.
Yeah,
they haven't said.
I'm just saying, like this is good news to hear, but it's very vague news, and we get that a lot in the entertainment world lately.
Here's my thing. You're right. This is vague news, and I feel like Lucasfilm has sort of prematurely jumped the gun with a lot of these announcements, because look, we had Phil Lord and Chris Miller directing Han Solo. What happened there? We had Colin Trevorrow was supposed to be the director of Episode 9. What happened there? Josh Trank was announced to be directing an anthology film. You know, Josh Trank. He's got a Josh Trank. So I'm not sure they should have made this announcement yet until they had more to tell us, don't you think?
Yeah, and they made the announcement. Didn't someone make an announcement too about a Kenobi film already? Wasn't that like announced?
No, there was a story that there's a an Obi-Wan Kenobi movie in the works. It was on Hollywood Reporter, but they've never made an announcement about it, so it's not official. It's far from official.
Okay.
So we don't know. I mean, for all we know, they could be making Kenobi, but we have no idea. There's been no announcement. But I'm just saying, this came from Walt Disney Studios and Lucasfilm. Like, they actually put this out. It wasn't a report. It came straight from them. And
what I fear about this news, because what they're doing right now is they have a lot of Star Wars stuff lined up.
Yeah. What
if they, stack their deck too high,
Well, they just to piggyback off of that, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, he also talked about multiple Star Wars shows being in the works. So right now, they want to launch the Disney streaming service we were just talking about. They want to launch that in 2019 with the Star Wars TV show.
Live action, whatever it's going to be. And then we both know that probably when Star Wars Rebels does end, they'll do some other kind of cartoon about something.
Probably. So Bob Iger, he was on an investor call, and he said, per the Hollywood Reporter, we are developing not just one, but a few Star Wars series specifically for the direct-to-consumer Disney app. We've mentioned that, and we are close to being able to reveal at least one of the entities that is developing that for us. Because the deal isn't completely closed, we can't be okay. So they have one TV show they probably want to launch in 2019 or maybe 2020, who knows. And now they want to do more like live. I'm assuming they mean live action. We've had a bunch of animated Star Wars products, but we haven't had an actual live action Star Wars TV series ever, right? So we have this going on. We have the comics, the books, the video games. We have the live action movie. We have the Skywalker trilogy. So Episode 9, we have the anthology films, and now we have a Rian Johnson trilogy, which we don't know anything about. And now we have the Game of Thrones guys trilogy. So,
I just fear they're going to stack the deck too high because they can't get lightning in a bottle every time. Because even Marvel has had a few hiccups. They just have. Yeah,
but Marvel has had hiccups, but they've never made a film that's like been a bomb. If you look at all their films, none of them have bombed at the box office. They've all been financially successful, and
ever since Iron Man. That's true.
Ever since, right? I mean, Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, I'm not counting Amazing Spider-Man or Amazing Spider-Man 2 because those are Sony, or the Fox X-Men films, or Fantastic Four. I mean, all those films have been very successful. And they've never had a film that's been certified rotten on Rotten Tomatoes either. So that's the other thing with them. So I think Disney. I think they can afford one or two flops, though. Honestly, if
Mhm.
something flops, you can adjust and you can fix things up because
Like when they did Mars Needs Moms and John Carpenter, those bombed and they survived.
well, that's Disney. I mean, that's not a franchise, but I'm just saying if one of these films doesn't do very well, I think they can still because they own it and
Mhm.
they can make adjustments and make more something more along the lines of what people are looking for right now. And I think even if there's one thing you don't like, Disney will make something new with Star Wars that you will like eventually. So
Hopefully.
that's my general hope. Yeah, hopefully. So before we get into, I guess, Super Bowl movie trailers and new trailers and stuff, um, I wanted you to, so Once Upon a Time, which is one of your favorite shows.
Mhm.
So it's been confirmed. This is from Entertainment Weekly. Once Upon a Time is about to end. It will end its run after, let's see, 7 seasons.
Mhm.
Show was created by Adam Horowitz and Edward Kitsis.
Mhm.
Debuted in 2011.
Mhm.
So you've had a good run with this show, Jay. I don't think you have much to be upset about. You got 7 seasons,
Mhm.
over 150 episodes. So it's hit the syndication mark, really.
Mhm.
So but yeah, I can understand being sad the show's coming to an end. But I guess what has been special about this show for you that has made it so appealing for you
One
over
thing
the
that's
years?
really cool is you get to see a lot of familiar characters in a new perspective. You
Yeah.
get, like first of all, like Snow White's not this helpless damsel in distress. She's like she doesn't go, Prince Charming has to save me. She
Eh,
like they kind of like join together because they both help each other and save
right.
each other. All
And
that
the
stuff.
evil
So
queen is not so evil,
not
really.
necessarily always misunderstood, and there were a lot of characters in here too that were started off evil, and a lot of them evolved over time too. A lot of them evolved into something more than they were before. Like Hook originally was kind
Right.
of bad, but then he evolved. Rumpelstiltskin wasn't great at first, and he went through a lot of different changes and evolutions over time.
Rumpelstiltskin was he was a jerk for the most part.
And when Emma, she went through a lot of different growths and evolved a lot of different ways. They introduced familiar characters like Aladdin and Jasmine, who are different. Mulan, who is different. Merida, who is different. Belle was very different in this.
Elsa and Anna were in the show from
That's
Frozen.
true, and we got to see them in a different light, and Kristoff in a different light. So there was just they did a lot of things, and they worked them into the stories. And I thought the story was always wonderful and great. How they went in every direction. When we went to Camelot, that was really cool. And
Mm-hmm.
but sadly, at the same time, as much as I don't like this news, it's not the biggest shock in the world for a couple of reasons.
7 seasons.
For a couple of reasons, because first of all, we had where they decided to go back to square one at the end of season 6, which was kind of a little bit of an odd direction to take, right?
Was that with Captain Hook dying and going to hell?
No, at the end of season 6, they had where we find out that okay, like suppose like Emma and all her family's story is all over, and then that somehow Henry is all grown up, and he's got a daughter, and now he doesn't remember who he is, and he has to go to a new place called Hyperion Heights, just a bit of a more modern version of Storybrooke.
Mm.
And there was another curse, and and he ended up getting with Cinderella, who was African American in this version, and there was the evil stepmother and the evil stepsister and all that stuff, and we got to see new characters. Like we got to see, dang it, what was the princess's name in Princess and the Frog? What was her name?
Uh, Princess and the Frogs. Princess. Tiana.
Yes, it's Tiana. We got to see her, but so kind of like went back to square one with new curse. Henry and everyone else don't remember who they are, and his daughter does remember who they
Was
are.
the show
So
getting repetitive?
it wasn't even. It wasn't that. It was just starting at square one, which is like with how many ways it had gone was kind of interesting. But I think what really doesn't surprise me the most about this is moving it from a Sunday time slot that was very popular, by the way, to a Friday time slot, which isn't that popular of a time slot.
It sounds like the show was running out of steam based on what you're telling me. So it doesn't sound like a major loss to me.
what was, like I said, the Friday time slot is not a good time slot. That's what took out Sleepy Hollow, you know, and certain shows when they go to like a
Grimm did very well on the Friday night time slot, and so did the X-Files in its heyday.
true, but nowadays Friday isn't always a good time slot for a show.
I'm just saying that I know that idea, but it's not absolute. Blue Bloods also did well on Fridays as well.
And I just think what was happening with this show was it wasn't necessarily running out of steam. It just was when it went back to square one, you're like, oh, that's where they're going to go now? Okay. And it wasn't as, it was just kind of weird to go back. It was basically just trying to go back and restructure something we'd kind of heard before. And it had some good stuff. Like the mid-season finale was interesting.
Okay.
But it just, I don't know. In the
All
end,
right. I have a question though. When I was watching the show, Jennifer Morrison's character, Emma Swan, who's the daughter of Snow White and Prince Charming, she was like trying to go to the underworld because Captain Hook died. Did they save Captain Hook or what?
Yeah, that all happened at I think the end of midway of season 6 that happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what happened? Is Captain Hook evil, or did he settle down with Emma, or what?
He did. In the end, they actually did get married, and we actually see her show up on here, which was kind of cool because they had in this season, they had some characters.
I don't like that relationship though.
But they had some characters where, like, you know, you'll see him maybe one more time, and they did explain well why. Like we see Jennifer Morrison, Hook come back to Henry's Romney's grown up, and she's like, "Hey, me and Hook are gonna have a baby."
Yeah.
So we know that their story's over. With Belle, we see
where have they been though? Like after they get married, like where do they go? Do they just sail around the world, or
no? They stayed in Storybrooke. And then what happened was with Belle and Rumpelstiltskin, they go to like the edge of the realms to try to find a way to make him mortal so they can die together, but he isn't able to do it. We see his son grow up and become like a doctor, and then she just kind of dies of old age. So we see we don't see Belle anymore, and then we have Zelina come back, which Rebecca Mader, which is great character, great actress, you know, great person, come back, and we kind of see that, like, you know, sisterhood grow again. And so it had some. It wasn't a bad season. It wasn't a bad show, but you may be right in the end where its steam is kind of being lost.
Well, it just sounds like they're ending the show. Like it's not like it was canceled. They're ending the show, and it sounds like they're going to give it an actual ending for you. And here's my whole thing. There are plenty of great shows out there that are just canceled and tossed in the trash like garbage. And like, do you remember the Human Target TV series?
No.
Okay, well, this was a TV show I really liked. It got like a second season pickup. Mm-hmm. And it got worse in the Friday night death slot. It was constantly getting shoved around the schedule, mm-hmm. and the network basically abandoned it. Mm-hmm. So and it was a great show. It was a fun show, and we never got any more of it, and that still disappoints me. Now, you remember, you probably didn't watch it, but you remember Twin Peaks, right? And when Twin Peaks came back?
I know of it, but yeah.
Right, you know about it. So that show was on in like 1990. Like 91, 92, it got 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. They canceled it. And then 25 years later, they bring it back. And that show ended on one of the worst cliffhangers you could ever ask for. Mm-hmm. And that show but the fans of that show kept it alive. And they finally brought it back 25 years later. So those fans were waiting 25 years, Jay, to get a continuation. And they finally got it from David Lynch. So I'm just saying, as a fan of Once Upon a Time, you should count your blessings that you got a show, you got 7 seasons, you got 150, you got a good show at it, you got a good run here. And appreciate your good run here, and take here's what I would say: consider this ending. This is your victory lap, man. You can't stay in the race forever, Jay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you know, one show that really saddens me to say they canceled was 123 Mockingbird Lane. Do you remember that show?
No, I don't.
Oh, such a good. They only did a pilot, and it was so good, and yet, even though people loved it and did great and got great reviews,
was that the Munsters remake?
Yeah, but it was really good. That pilot was amazing.
It was a pilot, okay.
But that's
It was
all
a
it
pilot.
got.
They aired it on TV from Kevin Fuller worked on that one.
And it was actually on Halloween they aired it, and it got great buzz around the board, but it didn't get picked up for whatever weird reason.
All right. Well, I mean, look, that just goes to show you. So that show didn't even have a life of its own. That show didn't even get picked up to series. Once Upon a Time became a series. It was a successful series that was on for 7 seasons. You got a lot of episodes and a lot of content here. This show had spin-offs. It had spin-offs even. So you should appreciate that and not.
Sadly, the spinoff wasn't that good though. Once Upon a Time in Wonderland was okay, but it
wasn't good. No, but you got it.
Even
But
Whoopi
I'm
Goldberg
saying,
couldn't say that.
But my point is, you got that. Like you got all that at you had a good run. Take your victory lap. Be sad for a little bit and then move on. Okay. So all right. So what is going on with your other 2 favorite shows, Grownish and Beyond?
So Grownish first. Last time we left, we saw where Zoe was with this guy Cassius Mooney, who's this big college football basketball star now. Forgive me. And so,
sorry about that.
What happens is, he goes on TV and says, wherever I get picked up, wherever I go, I'm taking her with me. And then Zoe realizes, wait a minute, what about the stuff I wanted? What about my dreams, right? Her mom even visits her and says, what are you going to do? Because this is a big decision, right? So she had a big decision to make last time. In the end, she decides
about her boyfriend, right?
Yeah, and then she decides at the end of the last episode, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going where you're going to go, and they break up, right? And it's her first
It's not true love. It's not true love.
But it's her first big breakup. So this episode, we see her, she wallows in self-pity for a bit. Her friends grab her, and like want to take her out, and then there's a power outage in the whole entire campus, right? So her friends decide to help, and her friends basically, try to help her get through it and walk through it, and kind of like, and she's making the mistake where she's still talking to him. So she's dealing with, she still really likes this person. She wants to try to be friends with this person, but she realizes in the end, I have to delete his number off my phone and let him go and just kind of start healing over this breakup, right? So that's kind of what happened in a nutshell. And it was a good episode because
he deleted his number. That's serious business, Jay.
Well, it was the first step to actually getting over him because again, it was,
it's about moving on, right?
Yeah, basically moving on and healing from a breakup, and not doing it alone. So it was another good episode.
Has she found a new boyfriend yet?
No, she just is kind of realizing it just with my friends and all this stuff, and she'll get through it. So it's an episode for her, kind of coming out of a little darkness back into the light, basically.
All right. Well, hopefully Zoe will bounce back on Grownish. Okay.
Then on Beyond.
Yes, Beyond.
So what happens on Beyond this time is, first of all, Holden, last time he finally quit his job because he just realized, his dad had gotten this job working for him, and he just realizes, this job isn't working for me. He has a time where his powers, act up, and he almost kills someone. He causes $500,000 of damage at the place, and just realizes, this job isn't for me anymore. Him and Willa were kind of going through a little rough patch because they're living in the real world, not in the realm. And then what happens at the beginning of this episode 2 was he bumps into Charlie, which was someone last season. It was actually his first, person he had sex with, right? So he bumps into her, and they kind of get back in contact a little bit, which is interesting because, they have a weird relationship where they're kind of on different sides, but so it was kind of cool to see them come back together again. This is basically about some relationships growing, some evolving, some getting, little bumps and bruises along the way. And, really, we get to see a character who showed up, I think, an episode or 2 ago called Diego, where we still don't know much about him, but he supposedly has powers similar to Holden, but different. He came out of a coma too, and has supposedly been in the realm.
What are Holden's superpowers?
He just has telekinesis, but he can't always control it. He doesn't know how to control it. Seems like emotion brings it on, but that's his power in a nutshell.
And this other character he meets, what kind of powers does he have?
At the moment, oh, you mean Charlie doesn't have powers? No, Charlie doesn't have powers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but she has. She has a history.
You said he met someone else who has powers like him.
Not yet. No.
Okay.
But we're seeing this season there are a few people who also have powers. They're not like Holden, but this guy Diego supposedly has some kind of powers. There's some other guy who can cause fire to happen who we haven't learned much of yet. So there's a lot of setting the stage of where the episodes are going to go next, meeting characters that we'll learn more about later, and we see more of Hollow Sky. We see, so like it's another episode of like, kind of setting the stage and slowly moving forward and slowly getting to see a bit more there. And even at one point, Holden has a moment where like he ends up like in this one weird little place and he's still, so like there's some stuff here that like, it's really another episode of where they're setting the stage of where it's going to go next. And it's definitely been really good so far, in my opinion. Where it's going is definitely leaps and bounds from last season. That's for sure.
What do you think happened to Holden? Was he the subject of like a government experiment gone wrong or mad science? What happened to him?
No, what happened was when he was like 12 years old, he was on his bike and he just for some reason like fell and went into a coma for 12 years. I don't know if we don't really know if there's anything government yet.
Is he even human? Is he even really human?
Yes, as far as we know, he is.
Why does he have superpowers?
He ended up when he was in a coma. He went to this weird place called the Realm where he originally met Willa, and like just somehow I think because they
Who's Willa?
It's a girl that he met there, and it's his girlfriend now. And so like that's who that is. And they're living in the real world now. They're not living there. And there's just like there is government involved here. There's some kind of organization called Hollow Sky that wants to, because like supposedly the realm may be a place where people go when they pass on, or there's a way from the realm to see those, that have passed on. So Hollow Sky is saying, now this episode especially they said, we can help you see your loved ones again. If you give us money, if you contribute, to do this. Yeah, so it's something that this organization is saying.
Sounds fake.
Well, it's what's being said right now. And so I really like this show so far. I think it's going great this season, and it's definitely leading up to some really great stuff in the future.
All right, so this Saturday we're gonna get 2 more episodes of Marvel Spider-Man.
3 more.
No, these we're getting 2 this weekend. Wait.
No.
Oh no, we're getting. I'm sorry, we are getting 3. These so we're getting because it's 3 through 5.
Yes.
Spider Islands parts 3 through 5.
This Sunday.
122 to 120 through 124.
Yes.
I was just looking. I just had the numbers wrong. So these episodes are going to air on Sunday, February 11th at 9 a.m. on Disney XD. So we got these 3 episodes from Disney. So these are Spider Islands parts 3 through 5.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in Spider Island, the city is being filled by spider humans. And this will be the conclusion of this storyline. And the humans they start morphing into spider monsters. So Spider-Man, Kid Arachnid, who's Miles Morales, and Harry Osborn, now they're looking to cure the island of Manhattan from this spider-human monster virus. So, what did you think of this whole Spider Island arc, and how did you like getting to see it play out?
I don't want to get too into spoilers yet because 3 through 5 haven't aired, but 1 and 2 have. And there's been a number of things about this arc. First of all, in the first one, Spider-Man made a new suit. Someone steals it, and supposedly they believe he's trying to poison the city, who ends up being Norman Osborn, which we know that from about episode 2. Like they think it might have been him anyway. And
it's probably him because Norman Osborn is like he's always a bad guy in the comics. So,
but he was believed to have died at the end of Rise of Doc Ock Part 3.
He's not dead.
I know, but that's what he was believed to be. So,
well, we think here's what in the Marvel comics, whenever he dies, we think he's dead. He always comes back, basically.
And so, in this series, first of all, we see where Gwen gets power, so we see Spider-Gwen. She's a little different in this one. She's not wearing a mask.
Technically Spider-Woman.
Well, they called her Spider-Gwen on this.
Did they actually call her Spider-Gwen?
Yes. And what she does is she's not hiding like, Miles or Peter are, and people really like her. They're all ecstatic. They're like, hey, Spider-Gwen, hooray, she's awesome, and And so, and on the first episode, what happens was there's a part where, someone's about to fall and Peter uses webbing to pull him. And then Harry gets all mad thinking you're Spider-Man. But then that's when we find out everybody in the city has the powers. And they're all organic web shooters like Topher Grace was in Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3. It's not the
Tobey
cartridge.
Maguire.
That's what I said, Tobey Maguire.
Said Topher Grace.
I meant Tobey Maguire. That's what I meant.
Topher Grace was Eddie Brock in Spider-Man 3.
Okay, so same series, whatever. Moving on. So anyways, so we see that happen in 1, and Peter Parker's doing that in 2, where he's like, everybody is like, spider powers now. It's not just, me. We actually see Black Widow show up in the second part, which was kind of cool. And they're trying to stop Crossbones, who also ends up having spider powers. So we get to see Hydra have spider powers. So that was really cool in part 2. And then we have where, we at the end of 2, we hear something happen to Gwen, but we don't know what at the time. And so the first 2 parts, set up a pretty interesting stage for where the city's going to go into chaos and things are going to get really bad. And no idea who's pulling the strings and what's going to happen. But yeah, it's been an amazing saga, for sure.
This was a really good storyline from the comics, so I think this was a good story to pick out for the animated show.
I'll just say this: if people watched 1 and 2 and liked it, don't miss 3, 4, and 5, because 3, 4, and 5 are just wonderful. They're absolutely amazing, and they do a really good job of telling the rest of this saga.
Right. And then after that, I think will be the last 2 episodes of the season.
Yeah, the Hobgoblin.
Yeah. So that's that'll be I think that'll be an exciting way to You think it'll be Hobgoblin or Green Goblin?
I thought I saw Hobgoblin on the website.
Okay. Well, I mean, they might have changed it to, but because in the Ultimate Comics, Harry became the Green Goblin. No, he became Hobgoblin.
Yeah,
Norman was Green Goblin.
Yeah.
So they could go a couple different ways with it.
Mm-hmm.
So, did you see 1517 to Paris? That was another new movie.
I haven't had a chance to. I want to. I've heard good things about it. Jaleel White is in it, which I think is really cool. I love him as an actor.
I wanted to see that movie because it's Clint Eastwood, but and I got invited to that movie, but it was the same night as 50 Shades Freed. And I was already seeing 50 Shades Freed. So what are you going to do? All right. So now is our time to talk about the Super Bowl, Jay, but not the Super Bowl itself, but the Super Bowl trailers. The only reason to watch a Super Bowl these days is for all the new movie trailers that come out. So basically, we've been waiting for months to check out our first footage, actually, of Solo: A Star Wars Story. So during the Super Bowl, they released like a 1 minute like teaser, and then the next day they released a full trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So this was our first actual look at footage at Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo. Some of the other characters, Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones, she plays Kira.
Mm-hmm.
Woody Harrelson plays Han Solo's mentor, Tobias Beckett.
Mm-hmm.
So that was our first look at all of this. So what did teaser and the trailer? What were your thoughts on what we actually got to see Super Bowl week?
I was kind of excited because it actually looks like they're going a good direction. They started, I think, especially in the teaser, they started in with him being a part of the Empire for a while, right? So that was kind of a cool start.
No, I think that's a trick. I don't think he was actually in the Empire.
I thought he was, though, wasn't he, for a while at first?
In the expanded universe, he was, but we'll see. We see in the teaser, we see him at like that Imperial like enlistment office.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's part of a heist, though.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
But yeah, we see that.
And I like pretty much everything Woody Harrelson is in. I can't think of something bad he's been in. At least I can't think of it off the top of my head. So
the Cowboy Way.
I never saw that one, to be fair.
Sure.
I never saw that one, but
True Detective is good.
Yeah, I'm excited for this movie. It's again a little weird they waited so long, and they're actually saying Harrison Ford is going to be in it, which is kind of interesting. He's kind of like
I don't know how that's going to work, but
I don't know. But to be fair, I don't know if he's saying that good of stuff
Do you
about it.
like
I think
the
he's
way
talking
Aaron?
bad about it, which is kind of interesting.
I haven't what?
I thought I saw where like there was somebody did an interview where he wasn't talking too great about the Solo movie.
What did he say?
Oh, it was just like something like, "Oh, like what do you think of
All
this movie?"
right, all
Like,
right. Before we, all right. Did he actually say this, or I mean, like, where did you hear this? Because, like, I don't. It's a huge pet peeve of mine when misinformation gets spread around. So, like, I haven't heard anything about this.
hmm. And maybe it's hearsay, but I don't know.
Let's see. I'm just doing a quick search. I haven't heard him actually speak bad about. Have you actually heard him speak bad about the movie?
I thought I saw an interview where he did like a short
What did he
one.
say? And what did he say?
Like I thought someone asked is this a Solo a good movie? He's like it's not or something like that. I thought I saw that.
Let's see. I don't know. I haven't seen anything where he does what you described. I think that's a little. I think
Maybe
you're mistaken, Jay.
it could be.
Um, I'm not crazy. I think the movie looks okay. I think the visuals look good. I'm not really too crazy about the way this new guy looks as Han Solo, though.
Hmm.
Alden Ehrenreich. I think he looks more like Dennis Quaid to me, like a young Dennis Quaid than Harrison Ford.
Hmm.
What do you think?
I think it doesn't look too bad, but I don't know. I mean, this is a film that could be good, but I think I think it's gonna. I think I'm in a similar boat with this as I am with Rogue One. It's either gonna be really good or really bad. No middle ground.
Well, what did you think of Rogue One?
I liked it a lot, but when I saw the first trailer, I had the same feeling. I was like, "Is this like this could be
So
really
you
good?"
thought Rogue One was really good then?
True, but when I saw the trailer, I thought this is either gonna be
I
really
think
good or really bad. There's no middle ground.
I think there is quite a bit of middle ground for Rogue One actually. That's kind of more where I'm in,
Really.
honestly.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, do you think Lucasfilm should have made a Han Solo movie?
I think they should have probably done another character first, to be honest,
Mhm.
like Kenobi or something like that. Something like that, you know. So I don't know. It's a risk doing this, even because he's such a well-known character. A lot of people really like the character. So
I'm saying just do the Boba Fett movie or something with bounty hunters already, because I think that one I think would have been a better choice than Han
wouldn't
Solo.
that be hard to do with the voice of Boba Fett being dead now?
What?
Yeah, the guy who voiced
Oh,
Boba
the
Fett is
original,
dead.
yeah, but then they changed it to Tamura Morrison for Jango Fett from Attack of the Clones.
Oh, really? He voiced Boba Fett as well?
Well, they in the special editions they changed it to Tamura Morrison's voice.
Weird. I didn't know that.
Well, because Boba Fett, who's he a clone of?
Yeah, I know that.
He's a clone of Fett, so they changed his voice in the updated versions. So
Oh, interesting.
I mean, yeah, his voice. I mean, yeah, his original voice actor is dead, but I mean, you could still make a movie about him. What's the big deal?
Mm.
It's not it wouldn't be so outrageous. All right, so other trailer. So that was sort of the big ticket during the Super Bowl.
Actually, that was a good trailer I saw that kind of surprised me.
What was
The new Mission Impossible doesn't actually look bad.
well that's actually what I wanted to talk about next. So my favorite trailer during the Super Bowl was Mission Impossible Fallout. So that's the sixth. We're on the sixth movie in the
Mhm.
Mission Impossible movie series with Tom Cruise. So,
Mhm.
I mean, Tom Cruise, I think, is pretty hit and miss lately, as
Mhm.
of late. But I
Mhm.
think the Mission Impossible movies are still pretty good, and I think Fallout looks really good too.
Yeah, I was surprised because like when I heard about it, I'm like, do you really need to do another one of those? But then yeah, I saw the trailer. I'm like, damn, I wouldn't mind watching that.
Well, I felt that way after like the second or third one, but then the fourth one
Mhm.
was really good. The fifth one I thought was really good. So now this one with that helicopter kind of chase, that looks really exciting.
Mhm.
So, um, and you know what? Credit to Tom Cruise because this man is like 54 now, but he's
Mhm.
still going out there and doing all these crazy stunts, and
True.
he's doing it himself. So, I mean, that's impressive. A man
True.
of his age to be
Mhm.
doing all those stunts like legit. It's pretty. I like that a movie star like him will do that because he really doesn't have to at this point. But I mean,
True.
can you imagine like who else in their like what other like big star in their 50s does that other than maybe Jackie Chan? I can't think of too many.
I thought that. Wait, how old is Vin Diesel now?
He's almost 50.
Yeah.
But does Vin Diesel even do all of his own stunts?
I want to say I thought he did neither the last Triple X or the last Fast and the Furious. Am I wrong?
But Vin Diesel, but does Vin Diesel do all of his own stunts? I don't think he does.
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm just saying, like
maybe Dwayne the Rock Johnson. Because he's got to be in his 50s.
I bet he's got stunt doubles though. But my point is, you can't think. But even if they did, that's only that's only like a handful, right? That's not a lot.
True.
I can think of Tom Cruise and Jackie Chan. Really,
I don't know if Jackie Chan does anymore. He used to, but I think he did stop in the last 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, but he was doing it well into his 50s though.
That's true.
Also, The Rock is 40. He's 45, so he's not as old. The Rock and Vin Diesel are not as old as Tom Cruise. So that's my other point. So speaking of The Rock, he had another Super Bowl thing for his movie Skyscraper. This is basically kind of like a high-rise action film. It's Die Hard, basically.
Yeah, it looks really stupid. It looks really stupid.
Die Hard. So
I didn't even watch this trailer, but I'm not excited for this movie.
You like San Andreas?
Ugh, no, I hated that movie.
All right, so you don't have high expectations for this one.
No, and you know what? I haven't even watched the trailer. I've just seen the poster, but the poster, I'm just like, this just sounds like a terrible idea.
You didn't see the Super Bowl thing at all.
I mean, don't even want to because the other movies
you love the Jumanji sequel.
That was different. That was actually a good movie, and it wasn't just on his shoulders. I mean, like when he did San Andreas, that movie was terrible. Rampage looks like it's going to be terrible, and this movie looks like it's going to be terrible. It's just like.
Let me just say this: between Rampage and Skyscraper, I would rather see Rampage. Skyscraper. I'm sorry. Yeah. There was a little Freudian slip there involving The Rock. So The Rock is sort of my blind spot. Another big trailer, excuse me, was the Jurassic World. During the Super Bowl. Did you get to see that one, Jay?
Yeah, I did. Did you know what I have to say about this?
Yeah.
Because the first trailer, I really didn't like. I thought it was terrible. This?
Not terrible, but yeah.
I didn't like it, but this trailer, I actually liked. I watched this trailer.
I thought this was a better trailer, yeah.
Yes, it is. Like, I watched this, I was like, you know what? I am more excited for this film now because of this trailer. It was interesting.
I like Jurassic World. I want to see what they're doing with the sequel. I think it's interesting that Jeff Goldblum's character and Malcolm is coming back, but I'm just wondering, like, what is the end game here? Is this going to turn into like Planet of the Apes except with dinosaurs? Like what? Like where are they? I'm kind of curious. Where are they taking this franchise? You know,
how many books are there now?
I don't know. I mean, Michael Crichton is dead, so he's not writing any more books.
How many books did he do? I wonder.
I think he did. I think he just did 2.
Really?
Well, they're not really basing these on books anymore, Jay.
Okay.
They the books kind of got tossed out the window. There are only 2 books. There was Jurassic Park and The Lost World. That's it.
Huh, weird.
Michael Crichton only wrote. They're not following books anymore. They pretty much went off books, starting with Jurassic Park 3. So this is the fifth. This is the 5th movie.
Terrible. Yeah.
So, you like Jurassic World?
I think Jurassic Park 3 was the worst.
All right, that wasn't based on a book. Jurassic World wasn't based on a book. They were all completely. I mean, they were sequels, but they were new stories, basically.
I think after this, they shouldn't do anymore. They probably will because it'll probably do well, but they probably shouldn't after Jurassic World.
The thing is, here's the thing about movie studios: like when they put out products and they keep making money, they have no reason to stop, making them.
True.
I agree that this is the 5th one and they should probably stop after the 5th one. But nowadays everything is like shared universes and sequels and remakes. So they're good as long as they keep making money, they're going to want to keep putting out more
You
films.
know what's really weird about this trailer?
Yeah,
First, we see where the girl's in her bed and the dinosaur's coming to her bed for some reason, which is kind
that
of
was
weird.
weird. Why?
And it's
Why is
weird
that girl
too.
on the island? Like, what
And
is
it's
she
weird.
doing there?
And it's weird too. They make the same mistake if they made a new dinosaur again. It's like, didn't you guys do that last time? Do you remember how bad that turned out last time? I mean,
Well, I mean, that I guess that's human. That's human error for you.
because the last time they made their own dinosaur, it killed 3 velociraptors, almost the T-Rex, and had to get eaten by that giant,
The IREX.
yeah, to finally get killed.
Yeah.
Like, geez, it's like
That's not even the worst thing. The worst thing is that thing ran amok and kind of killed the park, and all the dinosaurs were running all over the place and eating.
yeah. So human nature. I think there's a point though that it goes from human nature to human stupidity. It's like you're gonna make another new dinosaur. What's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know why. If you artificially created these new dinosaurs, like to what purpose? Like in Jurassic World, okay, you want to make a theme park where people can go and interact with dinosaurs, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the theme park is gone now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now what is the purpose of using science to create dinosaurs? Like, why do you your theme park idea was a massive failure? So why do you want what purpose does the genetically created dinosaurs? What purpose do they give you?
It's
Like
probably money because look, like in the
money
last
for
one.
like what? Are you going to sell them to Mike Tyson? Who are you
No,
going to sell?
you know where I can guess where it's gonna go.
Where?
You can guess what's gonna happen. They kind of did this in 3. Is they get them all off of the island, then they find another island to do another theme park. That's probably what'll happen.
Yeah, but I mean, who would go to that theme park after what happened in the fourth film?
People who are rich and stupid.
I mean, uh, it just. I don't think it's for a theme park. I don't know. Maybe they want to use them for the military, but I mean, I think the fourth movie proved if you tried to use dinosaurs for some sort of military purpose, that wouldn't work out very well.
Yeah,
honestly.
very true.
That was the worst thing about the fourth movie, by the way, was the Vincent D'Onofrio character. It's like I want to put these velociraptors in the Middle East and have them fight terrorists, and like,
yeah, I liked it
no.
when a velociraptor bit his arm off. Served him right. Sheesh.
But I mean, come on. I mean, you can't. They're raptors, okay? They're not gonna. You can't just drop them in the Middle East and they're gonna kill Osama bin Laden for you.
Yeah. No, you can't.
I mean, to me, that's like, okay, let's train a pack of lions. Let's train a pack of lions to go into the caves in the Middle East to kill Al Qaeda terrorists. Like, do you think that plan would work, Jay?
Absolutely not.
Because I think don't you think like training raptors to do that same thing would go about it as well?
Mm-hmm.
Who cares if you can't? Who cares if you can hack? All right, you can't hack a velociraptor. Who cares? It's a velociraptor. It's gonna do what it wants. You know, it's not gonna listen to you. Hey, go kill those guys. We want you. No, it's not gonna. It's not gonna. I think the way they should take it is Cadillacs and dinosaurs. Look it up, kids. Make it a world of Cadillacs and dinosaurs. So it'll be a post-apocalyptic wasteland where dinosaurs have reclaimed the earth, and there's just humans who can only drive souped-up Cadillacs, and there's Cadillacs and there's dinosaurs, and it'll be awesome. Look, Google when you get home. Google Cadillacs and dinosaurs, everyone. All right. Okay, so I think that about does it for all of our major topics for this week. Before we close out, were there any burning desires or anything, Jay?
Well, yeah, we had a few more trailers. We had Deadpool 2, we had Venom.
Ah, hell, I forgot. Okay, Deadpool 2. We finally got Deadpool 2. So we finally got to see Cable and some of the new characters in that film. I think it was a good trailer. I liked what they did with. The marketing team for Deadpool is on point. Unlike I would say for Solo, and I think a few other films. They do a good job. Like, even if the film is a letdown, I think like they know what people want to see, and they do a good job of showing it.
Yeah, it starts off really funny where like like his arm is green. He's like, "This is a robot arm, guys. Come on!" So then he does the
Right,
whole like
because he
fake
has that
city and
fake arm
the
and
action
they do special.
figures, and
Yeah.
then we see that, and we see like where Cable comes in and like he breaks the fourth wall again, which was hilarious.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a hilarious trailer. You see Terry Crews is in this for something. We don't know what character he does, but Terry Crews is in this trailer.
Right.
And we get to see Domino, we get to see Deadpool, so he's got a little team now, and we get to see more teenage supersonic warhead. Did I say that right?
Negasonic Teenage Warhead.
Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, something like that. And yeah, so we got to see some of that cool stuff. So yeah, it's a great, hilarious trailer that definitely got me a bit more pumped for this movie. That's for sure.
Okay, and besides that, so we got our first teaser. Basically a teaser for the Venom movie that's coming out later this year with Tom Hardy as Venom.
Mm-hmm.
I thought the teaser was terrible just because we didn't really see anything in it. It just looked generic. It looked like a generic, like kind of like science-y horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hardy's voice sounded ridiculous. What is he doing with his accent? He's doing another stupid voice thing. I don't get it. Venom's not even in the trailer, and they don't even call it Venom. It's just V. All they do is a V. Like, what the hell is that?
Mm.
So you like this trailer?
It was I can't say I liked it. I can't.
Okay.
I can just say that it's important to talk
So
about
at least
it because
we know Jay. All right. So good news, everyone. Jay is human and he is sane. He is not insane.
Because it was just they might as well call this trailer Eddie Brock, because that's all you see is Eddie Brock. The only Venom thing you see is the canister with like the symbiote, and that's it. That's the only Venom thing you see.
I think they would have done better if there was no footage at all. Like, do you remember the very first teaser for The Dark Knight, like 10 years ago? It was like all we see is like a logo, the movie logo, and we see a little bit of we hear Batman and or Bruce Wayne and Alfred talking. We hear a little bit of Heath Ledger talking as the Joker, and we see like the Joker's face for like a split second, like, and that's
Wasn't
it.
there before that where we just saw the card though? We didn't actually see his face at first, right?
The one I remember, we actually see his face for like a split second.
Okay.
I think if we just saw something like that, where we don't even see any footage of Eddie Brock at all, and it's just like Venom, it's coming later this year, I think they would have. And if it ended with like Eddie Brock saying "We are Venom," I think that would have been a million times better than what we got here.
And wasn't Eddie Brock a blonde? Am I wrong?
I mean, does it? I don't know. Does it really matter?
And really, he didn't
Does
look.
it really matter what his hair color is?
But that's just not the only thing. Like, he said he's working out, but he didn't seem like, because I remember Eddie Brock, at least in the 90s cartoon, he was a big bodybuilder. He was a big guy.
Yeah, Eddie Brock was always a big guy, and Venom.
And he wasn't that big in this. Not really.
That's not. I mean, to me, that. Topher Grace was not a big Venom either, but to me, that's not even.
Grace wasn't a good choice for Venom. That's just
look. I mean, to me, that's not even the least of this movie's problems right now. They put out it. To me, look, your movie comes out in October, so it comes out. 8 months? They could have waited a month or 2 months and put out a better trailer. I think, or even a better teaser. I think I think we needed to see something to see like, okay, this movie is going to be cool, and it has Venom in it, and you only want to see this movie because it has Venom in it. But there's nothing in this like watching this. If I knew nothing about Spider-Man or Venom, there's nothing in this that would make me want to see it at all. I mean, do you see what I'm getting at there?
I do actually, yes. I
mean. And also, I just think making a Venom movie that has apparently nothing to do with Spider-Man, I don't know why they're doing this. Honestly, why would you not want to make a Venom versus Spider-Man movie? That's what that's what the fans really want, right? Why not do that?
Now, did they say Carnage was gonna be in this, or is that not true?
No, they haven't. I mean, he might be, but they haven't said.
Okay,
we don't know.
I don't know.
Do you have anything else to add there, Jay?
It just really, in a nutshell, it wasn't marketed that well. They just wanted to get it out there, but it wasn't prepared to get out there.
I mean, don't you think they would have been better off holding off for like maybe 2 months, doing a bit more visual effects work, and maybe giving us like at least a glimpse of Venom to get us really pumped about this movie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so there we go. So next, I think that about does it for this week. Anything else you wanted to hit on?
I just did want to talk a little bit about the new Muppet Babies. There was a little bit of
All
news
right,
on this that was
you're
interesting.
because you're obsessed with the Muppet Babies, so go ahead.
Well, hey, I liked the one in the '80s. Okay, I did, but
I
that's because it
liked
was
it
a good
too, but I
show.
mean, this is a Disney. The new one is a Disney Junior show.
Yes.
The old show was a little, I think, was funny and was a lot broader.
Yeah,
This
what's
is
interesting about this one though is they let out news this week that there is news out. They're going to do a new character, which is kind of interesting.
who's voiced by Jenny Slate, by the way.
I thought Jenny Slate was Nanny.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, so they're like but like yeah, it's a little bird character, and she is gonna just be a new character on the show. It's kind of interesting. It's not the first time they've done this. Remember, on the one in the '80s, we had Skeeter and Scooter. We never got Skeeter. We never got Skeeter again. We saw
They
her.
created new Yeah, they created new characters.
And we got to see more of Benjamin Bunny on there. We got to see more of Beaker and
Bunsen.
Bunsen. So we got to see them.
I
So
got to be honest, Jay. I think this show is a bad idea. I like the original, but this show doesn't even look that good. Honestly, the animation looks lame.
it's computer animated, and it's going to be aimed at little kids. So we'll see. I don't know.
I wish this show never got made. Speaking of Muppets, by the way, I'm going to be interviewing Dave Goelz, one of the original Muppet performers, and the voice of and Muppet performer for Gonzo, coming because he's in a new documentary about the Muppets coming out. So I am going to
before Frank Oz did, right? Because Frank Oz does him now, doesn't he?
No, Frank Oz is the original Miss Piggy.
Okay.
Dave Goelz has for the last 40 plus years been the performer and voice of Gonzo. Oh, nice. Frank Oz was never Gonzo. Okay. What is this documentary coming out? It comes out. It's going to be an online documentary. What is it called? Here it is. Muppet Guys Talking. Nice. So it's gonna feature some of the original Muppet voices and performers, like Frank Oz, nice, like Dave Goelz, and a few others, just sitting down and talking about playing the Muppet characters. So nice. Frank Oz also played Yoda in the Star Wars films, and he's also been a prominent film director. Yeah, himself.
Talk documentaries. I'm excited they announced Tom Hanks is going to be Mr. Rogers in a movie.
That's not a documentary. That's not a documentary. That's a biopic. Okay.
Well, still, but I'm excited for that. And they are doing a Mr. Rogers documentary called "Won't You Be My Neighbor?" That sounds kind of cool.
I did see the Tom Hanks news, and that he's playing Mr. Rogers in in a film called "You Are My Friend." So there you go.
And then they are doing a documentary about him called "Won't You Be My Neighbor?" coming out this year later.
Let's see.
Yeah.
Who is playing this new character on Muppet Babies? Do we even know?
I don't know off the top of my head. Remember? No.
Why do you think this new show looks good? Why should we watch this new Muppet Baby show?
Let me check this out real
quick. So, "Won't You Be My Neighbor" is the documentary, and it was already at Sundance. So, I mean, if you're a fan, I mean, look, a lot of people, watched Mr. Rogers when they were a kid.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh, it comes out this March. Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they announced it. That's interesting.
All right. So to take us out tonight, so next week we are getting Black Panther. Jay and I are both seeing it Tuesday night. So I think our next show will just be like mainly Black Panther, like a Black Panther centric show.
Well, I also want to talk about Early Man, which comes out next Friday as well, and I get to see that tomorrow.
What is it called?
Early Man.
That movie looks horrible.
I'm excited.
So So yeah, that's a new animated film from the Aardman people, like Chicken
Yeah,
Run,
Eddie Redmayne,
Wallace and Gromit.
yeah,
Wallace and Gromit.
Thomas Hiddleston.
The movie doesn't look that good to me. They did that they did that pirate movie too. I forget.
I like that movie. I thought the movie was good.
I thought it was. I thought it was okay-ish. I didn't think it was that good, but.
And of course, we'll talk about more Beyond and more Grownish, and the last three parts of
But Black Panther.
Spider Island.
But Black Panther will be very exciting. Very much looking
forward to this. That one's getting really, really good reviews already. It's got, I think, like 100. No, it's got a really high score on.
A lot of colleagues of mine have already seen it, and they seem to love it. So hopefully it'll be good. I'll be seeing it Tuesday at the ArcLight in Hollywood, so I can't wait. So that's wow! So it's in a few days. So yeah, I am Jeffrey Harris. You can check out my reviews on 411 Mania. Jay, where can people find you online?
On the Good Men Project in the Arts and Entertainment section. You can find my reviews on there for TV shows and books.
All right. So I hope your thumb is okay, and I hope you will rest up and heal up from that work injury. So sorry you're dealing with that, but it sounds like they took care of you, and I hope you're feeling better.
Okay, thank you.
All right, everyone, and thanks, and see you at the movies.
Mm-hmm.